So what if the reason your gratitude journal just isn't working is because you're actually using the wrong organ?
That is quite the question.
Right. I mean, we're so used to thinking about what we're thankful for. We make our little lists, we check them twice, and then we just kind of go about our day.
Yeah, it becomes a very routine thing.
Exactly. But today, we're looking at a text that claims if gratitude is just happening in your head, that like if it's just this intellectual exercise between your ears, it's essentially useless.
It's a bold claim.
It really is. So
Yeah.
welcome to today's deep dive. Our mission today is to explore day 20 of Rhonda Byrne's book, The Magic.
Oh,
And specifically, we're looking at a technique she calls heart magic.
right.
And the goal for you, our listener, is to figure out how to take that rote, mechanical thankfulness and pull it down into, well, deep physical feeling.
It's a really fascinating premise for you to grapple with because I think we've all been there, right?
Probably.
You write down, I'm grateful for my health, my dog, my job, but you feel absolutely nothing while you're writing it.
Just totally numb.
Exactly. So the source material we're working with today is completely dedicated to bridging that exact gap. It asks, how do we transform an intellectual checklist into a profound biological state?
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the core premise of the magic sets the stakes incredibly high for this practice.
It does.
The author argues that with any gratitude practice, the ultimate aim is always to physically feel it as deeply as possible.
Right. Feeling is the secret.
Yeah, and the text makes this massive, very specific claim. It says that when you increase the feeling of gratitude on the inside, the things you have to be grateful for in the outside world literally increase too.
Yeah. It's a direct correlation.
Right, so she's not just pitching a way to feel like cozy inside.
Hmm.
The text presents this emotional shift as a literal engine for altering your external reality.
And to really ground this concept, the author features a quote from the French Revolution activist Jean-Baptiste Massieu.
Oh yeah, I remember this.
He said, "Gratitude is the memory of the heart."
Okay, I have to pause right there. Gratitude is the memory of the heart.
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredibly poetic, but is she literally saying my heart has a memory? Because the last time I checked my biology textbook, my brain is what stores memories.
Right. Sure.
It feels like we're bordering on like greeting card territory here.
Well, it sounds like poetry until you actually look at how trauma and emotional conditioning work in the body.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so the author is using it as a metaphor, but it maps onto something very real called somatic memory.
Somatic memory, okay.
Right, because normally we think of memory as a purely cognitive function,
Yeah, like recalling facts.
Exactly. We remember the capital of France, we remember what we had for breakfast. But Massieu's quote, and by extension this whole chapter, suggests that true gratitude isn't cognitive.
It's not in the head.
Right. It's somatic. It's a literal feeling your nervous system recognizes, stores, and can recall on demand.
So how does that differ from the way most of us currently practice gratitude?
Think about learning to ride a bike. At first, it's all in your head. You're constantly thinking about balance, pedaling, steering.
It's exhausting, yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
But eventually, the skill drops down into your body. Your muscles just know what to do.
Like muscle memory.
Exactly. And the text acknowledges that normally it takes a long period of consistent practice to automatically feel gratitude that deeply in your heart. You have to put in the hours to build that somatic memory.
Right.
But the promise of this heart magic technique is that it collapses the timeline. It claims to be a direct shortcut to that profound automatic state of physical gratitude.
Wow, and this is really where the narrative takes a sharp turn away from philosophy and straight into some pretty massive physiological claims.
It does.
Because the source says that focusing your attention on your heart while feeling gratitude immediately makes your heart rhythm much more even and harmonious.
Yes, and what's fascinating here is that she goes even further than that.
How so?
The source states that this newly harmonious heart rhythm results in major improvements to your immune system and your overall health.
Okay, wait.
It frames heart magic not just as an emotional balm, but as a biological upgrade.
Wait, I have to step in here and play the skeptic for our listener for a second.
Please do.
The book is claiming that just saying thank you while thinking about my chest is going to boost my immune system.
That is the claim.
That sounds like a massive leap. I mean, is she citing actual clinical science here, or is this just a placebo effect wrapped up in self-help jargon? We really need to figure out how that is actually supposed to work.
It's a completely fair challenge. The text itself doesn't provide, a dense bibliography of medical journals.
Right, of course not.
However, if we look at the actual neurobiology of what the author is describing, there actually is a very real documented mechanism at play here.
Really? Okay, tell me more.
When the text claims your heart rhythm becomes harmonious, it's pointing to a measurable state called heart rate coherence.
Heart rate coherence, break that down for me.
Sure. So, heart rate variability, or HRV, is the variation in time between your heartbeats. When you're stressed, your heart rhythm is completely erratic.
Like all over the place.
Exactly. It's chaotic. But when you actively focus your attention on your chest area, which naturally causes you to slow and deepen your breathing, you stimulate something called the vagus nerve.
Oh, the vagus nerve. That's the superhighway connecting the brain to the organs, right?
Exactly, yes. And stimulating the vagus nerve kicks your parasympathetic nervous system into gear.
Which is the rest and digest mode.
You got it. And when that happens, your heart rhythm literally smooths out. It becomes coherent.
Okay, so it physically changes.
It does. And what happens when your body enters that coherent parasympathetic state? Your cortisol levels drop.
Oh, wow.
Stress hormones plummet. And because high cortisol actively suppresses the immune system, lowering it naturally allows your immune function to rebound.
That makes so much more sense. It's
Yeah.
like a manual override switch for your nervous system.
That's a great way to put it.
Because normally you have to slowly turn down the dial on your stress through, I don't know, hours of meditation or like a 2-week vacation just to get your cortisol levels to drop.
Yeah, it takes forever.
But actively moving the mental voice out of your head and into your chest essentially pulls the plug on the brain's anxiety loop. You're forcing the body to shift gears physically.
That is a perfect analogy. You are executing a manual override. You're intentionally manipulating your focus to force a physiological response that, normally takes much longer to cultivate organically.
But feeling good physiologically is really only half of the equation here, I think.
Sure.
Because the real friction for a lot of people is the execution. If the biological and emotional stakes are this high, how do we actually flip this manual override switch without getting totally distracted?
It's tricky.
It is. I know my mind wanders the second I close my eyes. I'll sit down to do this heart magic, and like 5 seconds later, I'm wondering if I left the stove on or what's for dinner.
Well, the text anticipates that exact problem.
Oh, thank goodness.
It actually provides a literal step-by-step execution plan. The baseline instructions are remarkably simple, but they do require precision.
Okay, so what's the first step?
The very first step is to focus your mind and your attention directly on the area around your heart.
And the source specifically notes that it doesn't matter if you focus on the inside of your chest or the outside of your body, right?
Exactly. The geographic location of your attention is the only thing that matters there. Once your attention is there, you close your eyes.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, the text explicitly notes that closing your eyes makes it significantly easier to maintain this internal focus by just removing visual data.
Right, turning off the visual input.
And while holding your attention on that heart area, you mentally say the magic words, "Thank you."
It sounds so simple, almost too simple.
It does.
Which is why I really appreciate the specific hacks the text provides. It gives you these physical tricks to master the focus quickly, because staying focused on your chest is surprisingly hard to do.
It is, so it offers physical anchors.
Yes. The first one is incredibly straightforward. You just place your right hand over the area around your heart.
Yeah.
You use the physical tactile sensation of your hand resting on your chest to keep your mind tethered to that spot while you say the words. It physically stops the attention from floating back up into the brain.
And the second hack it offers is a psychological pivot.
I love this one.
The text suggests you imagine that the words "thank you" are literally coming out of your heart rather than your mind.
I found that visualization particularly striking, like you're physically moving the microphone from your brain down into your chest.
Yeah, because when we think words, we naturally localize that sensation in our heads. We hear our internal monologue between our ears.
Right, it's always up top.
But by forcing the visualization down into the chest, you're demanding that the nervous system participate in the thought process.
Wow.
You're essentially telling your brain, look, we aren't doing cognitive processing right now. We are doing somatic processing.
And according to the text, you will know when you've succeeded, because your body will literally tell you.
Yes.
This isn't a vague, maybe I feel a little bit better kind of situation. The source outlines initial physical signs that you've successfully increase the depth of your feeling.
Tangible signs.
Very tangible. You might experience a tingling sensation around your heart. You might feel a sudden wave of joy rush through your entire body. Your eyes might fill with tears, or you might even break out in goosebumps.
It treats those visceral reactions as the actual metric of success.
But what if I just feel like a guy sitting in a chair with his hand on his chest?
Well, then you aren't quite there yet.
Right. And I want to push back on how we usually treat this kind of self-help advice.
Okay.
So often, we treat gratitude as this polite intellectual checklist. Like, I am thankful for my house, my dog, my job.
Like a chore.
Exactly. We rattle it off in our heads while we're driving to work or making coffee. And if we don't feel anything, we just assume we check the box anyway.
Yeah, that we did the work.
But this text is actively demanding we move gratitude out of the brain entirely. If you aren't feeling tingling or tears or goosebumps, if it hasn't moved into your nervous system, she's essentially saying you haven't actually hit the depth the practice requires.
No, you haven't.
That is a really high bar.
It is a very high bar. The text explicitly states, without exception, you will begin to feel a depth of peace and happiness you've never felt before.
Wow.
So it's treating gratitude as an altered state of physical being, not just a passing polite thought. It's a complete somatic takeover.
And if you aren't feeling that?
If you aren't feeling the physiological shift, the text implies you need to lean harder into the hacks, using the hand on the chest, closing the eyes, until that manual override actually engages.
Okay, so let's say the listener masters the tool.
Yeah.
We know the biological claims, we know the mechanics of the manual override, we know the physical hacks to get there, and we know we're looking for real physical indicators like goosebumps.
Right.
The obvious question now is application. How does putting my hand on my chest get me the life I want? Because the book promises that this internal feeling changes external reality.
Well, this is where the core assignment for day 20 comes into play. The author doesn't just want you sitting around feeling peaceful and tingly. She wants you to direct this energy.
Like a laser.
Exactly. You are instructed to take something called your top 10 desire list and apply heart magic directly to each item on that list.
A desire list.
Mm-hmm.
So we are taking this intense present moment gratitude and pointing it directly at things we want but don't actually have yet.
That is the assignment. You take your list of 10 desires, you read each desire either in your mind or out loud. And when you get to the end of reading a specific desire, you close your eyes.
Okay.
You focus your mind on the area around your heart, you maintain that focus, and you slowly say the magic words, "Thank you."
Using the hand on your chest if you need to.
Exactly.
And the promised result of doing this.
The text claims that by doing this, you dramatically increase your gratitude for your top desires, which in turn radically speeds up the receiving of them. The explicit rule stated here is that the deeper the feeling of gratitude, the greater the abundance you'll receive.
Here's where it gets really interesting to me.
Okay.
Because again, we need to look at this objectively. We aren't endorsing the idea that just feeling thankful magically teleports a new car into your driveway.
No, of course not.
But the psychology of this step is wild when you actually break it down. We are instructed to take a present tense, emotion-profound, tear-inducing thankfulness and apply it to a future unfulfilled desire.
Right.
Usually when we think about things we want but don't have, the emotion isn't gratitude.
No, it's longing.
Yes, it's longing, it's impatience, it's frustration, or it's anxiety that we might fail to actually get it.
Or fundamentally, it's just a feeling of lack, because desiring something inherently means you don't currently possess it.
Yes, exactly. So how does visualizing the desire through the lens of the physical heart, using this thank you technique, actually change our relationship to our goals? What is the psychological mechanism happening there?
Well, it solves a massive problem called cognitive dissonance.
Cognitive dissonance. Okay, explain that.
When you think about a goal from your intellectual mind, your brain acts as a difference engine. It is a problem-solving machine.
Right.
It immediately measures the delta, the gap between where you currently are and where your goal is.
It highlights the distance.
Exactly. It sees the obstacles, the lack of money, the distance, the time required. And because it sees that massive gap, it generates the anxiety and the longing you just mentioned.
Because the brain knows you don't have it yet. It's like screaming, why are you thankful for a house you don't even own?
Precisely. But the heart, at least in the physiological framework this text is tapping into, doesn't analyze the gap. When you force your focus down into your chest, slow your breathing, engage the vagus nerve, and physically generate the sensation of gratitude, You are tricking your nervous system into believing the desire has already been fulfilled.
Wow.
Because the body does not produce tears of joy and harmonious heart rhythms for a feeling of lack. It only produces those physiological markers for a feeling of having.
That is brilliant.
Yeah.
So by applying heart magic to a desire, you are completely replacing the stress of wanting with the physiological peace of already possessing it.
Yes. And according to the premise of the book, this internal shift is what accelerates the external receiving based on the law of attraction.
Right. The metaphysical side.
But even if you look at it purely psychologically, when you remove the anxiety of lack, you become more resourceful.
That makes total sense.
You notice opportunities you would have otherwise missed because your brain isn't clouded by stress and desperation anymore. You are aligning your physical state with the reality you want to experience, which makes you far more capable of actually achieving it.
You're shifting the body's baseline from I am desperate for this to I am so thankful this is already mine, even before it physically arrives.
It's a complete inversion of typical goal setting.
It really is? Wow. Okay, so zooming out from this specific desire list, we need to look at how this heart magic fits into the overall structure of the day.
Right.
Because the author doesn't just give you the concept of the manual override and leave you to it. She provides a very rigid, structured blueprint at the end of the chapter.
Yeah, it's called Magic Practice number 20. The daily routines in this book are highly specific, and they're meant to be followed exactly.
They are very regimented. Let me just rapidly unpack the full 5-step checklist for you so we can see the exact architecture of what she's asking the reader to do.
Go for it.
Step 1, count your blessings. You make a list of 10 blessings. You write why you're grateful for them. You reread the list. And at the end of each blessing, you say, thank you, thank you, thank you, feeling as grateful as you can.
So that's the broad part.
Right. Step 2 is the transition. Focus. You just focus your mind and attention on the area around your heart.
Moving it down.
Yep. Step 3 is the core practice. You close your eyes, keep your focus on the heart, and mentally say thank you. Then we hit step 4, the desire list.
Which is what we just discussed.
Exactly. You take that top 10 desire list and practice heart magic by reading each desire, closing your eyes, focusing on the heart, and slowly saying thank you.
And then there's the final step to end the day.
Right. Step 5, the nightcap. Just before you go to sleep, you hold your magic rock in one hand and you say the magic words, thank you for the best thing that happened during that specific day.
Oh, and for context, for anyone who hasn't read the earlier chapters.
Oh, right, the rock.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
magic rock is literally just a small, smooth stone she has you find earlier in the book.
Nothing fancy.
No, you just keep it by your bed, and it acts as a physical token. It's a tangible anchor for your attention right before sleep.
Okay, so if we step back and look at the architecture of this daily practice, it is incredibly deliberate. It's not just a random assortment of nice thoughts.
Not at all. It beautifully bookends the day, taking your nervous system on a very specific journey of focus.
Break that journey down for me. What's the trajectory?
Well, you start broad. Step 1 is expansive. You're making a list of 10 different blessings and the reasons behind them.
Right.
It's cognitive. It engages the brain to search the wide landscape of your life for good things. You are essentially casting a wide net.
That's the intellectual checklist part.
Exactly. But then the practice funnels inward. Steps 2 and 3 force all that expansive mental energy down into a single concentrated physical point, the physical heart.
Wow.
You move from the broad mind into the specific body. Then in step 4, having achieved that peak physical state of gratitude, you project it forward into the future, pointing it directly at your top 10 desires.
It's like gathering scattered sunlight, focusing it through a magnifying glass until it gets intensely hot, and then pointing that laser beam directly at your future goals.
That's a great visual. And then look at how it resolves. Step 5 distills everything down to a single, tangible point of gratitude at night.
Just the rock.
Just the rock. You are holding a physical object and focusing on just one single thing, the best thing that happened that day.
It grounds you.
It takes all that high-level, future-oriented energy and grounds it right back into the immediate physical reality right before sleep. It's a perfectly structured arc.
From expansive thought to deep physical feeling to future projection and finally to grounded present moment peace.
Beautifully designed.
So what does this all mean for you listening to this deep dive right now? To summarize what we've unpacked today, heart magic isn't just a poetic metaphor about being nice or appreciative.
No, it's not.
According to Rhonda Byrne's text, it is a highly specific physical technique. It is a manual override switch designed to exponentially increase the depth of your gratitude, physically harmonize your heart rhythm to lower cortisol and boost your immune system, and fundamentally alter your psychological relationship with your unfulfilled desires to accelerate their arrival.
And I think the most actionable takeaway for you to remember today is that whenever you feel like you are just going through the motions with your
But
gratitude,
we all do.
whenever it feels like a chore or a mental checklist that isn't actually making you feel any better, you now have a literal physical anchor.
Hand on the chest.
Yes,
Uh,
by simply placing your right hand on your chest, closing your eyes, and forcing your focus to that physical location, you
right.
can pull yourself back into genuine feeling. You completely bypass the rumination of the brain.
And the text promises that even using this just a couple of times a day can have a massive effect on your happiness and the abundance in your life.
Yep.
Which really brings us back to where we started. We talked about how learning an instrument or riding a bike moves from the head to the body.
Yeah.
Heart magic is the tool to move gratitude from the head to the body.
It is.
But before we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over, building directly on that really striking visualization we discussed earlier from the text.
The microphone.
Yeah, the microphone. The source suggests imagining the words thank you coming directly out of your chest rather than your brain, like moving the microphone downward.
It's a very effective psychological trick for gratitude.
Right. But imagine if we applied that same visualization not just to the words thank you, but to all our communications today.
Oh, wow.
If you imagined every single word you speak to your family, your friends, your coworkers, if you imagined every sentence originated from the center of your chest rather than from your busy, calculating intellectual mind, how would the tone of your entire life shift?
It would fundamentally change the frequency of how you interact with the world. You wouldn't just be reacting to problems anymore. You'd be responding from a state of coherence.
Exactly. It completely changes the music you're playing.
Yeah.
Something to think about as you go about your day.